Diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the BQN Podcast Collective. I'm your host for today, Chrissy, and joining me is my co-host, Thad. Thad, how are you doing today?
I don't know. It's kind of weird that we've switched things up and our podcast is now being recorded in a blank white room with no features. It's a little distracting, honestly.
Yeah, you'd think it would be easier to concentrate, but it's actually not, because you never know what's going to pop up. And, there might be Captain Picard and Q showing up because he just died, or there might be some prophets talking, or...
Yeah, exactly.
I think Dumbledore took Harry Potter here at some point, so, there's all sorts of things.
How are you today?
I'm not bad. I'm just, I'm making arrangements to leave a room exactly as it is, despite the fact that the person who lives in it is not going to be here for a very long time, if ever again. But, other than that.
I wondered about that.
All right, and joining us today is Alex Perry of Weekly Trek. Alex, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, before we jump into our topic for the day, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons who make this show possible, particularly our associate producer, Carl Wonders. Listeners, you can hear your name listed as one of our associate producers for a monthly subscription of just $10 at patreon.com/BQN. And with a monthly Patreon subscription of just $5 or more, you can join our meetings of the Hive Mind. And we also have been having Friday night discussions of the disco episodes. And there's some other stuff that's upcoming that is going to be patrons only. So get those subscriptions in and watch your Patreon messages for details on that. Oh, and also join our Discord. It's gotten very popular in the last 5 days. It blew up. We will put I'll put the link in the podcast description. All right, well, news. We haven't been on since the Variety article dropped and everyone else has talked about it, but we might as well too, including Alex has talked about it.
And there was that story that we didn't talk about last time because it wasn't official. Reputable news sources had not yet reported it. But it turns out...
Le prodigy en français?
Oui. Somehow... Paramount made an agreement with France TV, which is a public television network in France, to broadcast Prodigy Season 2 ahead of when the rest of the world is getting it.
So my understanding of the circumstances of it is that back when Paramount Plus had Star Trek Prodigy, and it was going to broadcast on Paramount Plus in all the countries that had Paramount Plus, and France is not one of the countries that had Paramount Plus, for a number of channels in other countries before season 1, they had made deals with these foreign TV channels that would mean distributing season 1 and distributing season 2. And that obviously the original plan had been for season 2 to come around the end of 2023 on Paramount Plus. And so that was sort of baked into that original deal. And even though Paramount Plus cancelled the show, shipped it off Paramount Plus, and then Netflix picked it up with the plan to drop it sometime this year, that original French agreement was still in place that allowed them to drop it, beginning around now. And they went ahead and did it. And so that's why it happened.
And before you decide to turn on a VPN and go watch it, which you can do, it's actually available for free if you're in France, be advised that it is only in French with no English subtitles or audio. So unless you are fluent in French, you'll probably just be frustrated.
I am regretting having forgotten every word of French I ever learned.
I had 4 years of French in high school, but having been to Paris in 10 years ago, which at that point my high school French was a little less rusty. I definitely was not able to understand most of what people said to me, so yeah, I have not tried because I feel like I'd just be like, nah. I'm gonna wait until there's an official release in English, and for those of our listeners who do speak French or are even in France, have at it. Just be mindful of those of us who do not speak French and refrain from sharing spoilers.
Yeah. So what I don't understand about this is that this means it's done, right?
Yeah, it's been done for a while. We knew that.
Well, yeah, but I mean it's done if they're allowing people to watch it. So that means that the English one is done because they had to have something to translate from. So when this happened, why didn't Netflix go, "Oh, here you go," and just release it for everybody?
Or at the very least tell us when we're going to see it?
Yeah.
Well, I think for a couple of reasons. One, there's been no publicity connected to season 2. You don't want it to be released right now. If it's released right now, you, me, and Thad will see it, and that will be that, right? Because
I suppose you're right about that.
That's
we're the only ones who, right? There are probably 200 people on the whole planet who know that it's been released in France, right?
Oh, I'm sure more than that.
And we know 195 of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just because, like that level of knowing about Star Trek news is the hardest of the hardcore fans.
Are you telling me that Trek Twitter is not representative of the population as a whole?
The reality.
I am. So number one, it doesn't behoove Netflix to do that. Certainly if you want a season 3, right? Like there needs to be a hype campaign connected to season 2. Which if Netflix just said, okay, well it's out in one country in a language that only the people who can speak that language have access to, so we're just going to drop the whole thing, then goodbye. Even though the chances of more Prodigy are small, goodbye those chances forever.
Right.
And I think the second thing is it is sort of like there is an element of French fans, I will say, have been pretty good. I will credit French fans for not having shared too many spoilers. I will also say I think a small component of that is there just aren't a lot of French fans. So again, we're talking about small populations. But the fact that it's only available in French with no English subtitles and no English dub means that if you really want Prodigy spoilers, you do have to work pretty hard for them. And so I think while it's unfortunate, I don't know that it necessarily shifts any of Netflix's thinking about when and where and how they want to release it. And I think from a Star Trek fan perspective, you also shouldn't want it now because we're literally here talking about Star Trek Discovery, and and you shouldn't want all of your Star Trek compressed into a 2-month period because then it's going to be a bit of a wait before we get anything.
But I want it now, Alex.
I know you do, but you'll enjoy it more later. A bit of delayed gratification is no bad thing.
I will say, definitely, and the French Star Trek fans that I know will all say that yes, it is not a like national phenomenon in France the way it is in some other countries. And a big example of that, I think, is the fact that it was actually available for streaming in France for a couple weeks before news hit Trek Twitter.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that takes care of that.
I saw someone joke, like, this would not have been how it played out if it had been available in, say, Germany.
I was about to say.
Yeah, right.
We would all know everything about Prodigy Season 2 by now if it had been in Germany.
It's interesting commentary there that I'm not really sure where to go with. About
I just mean there's
the
a
psychology of various peoples.
There's a ton of obsessive Star Trek fans in Germany. Is all I'm getting at.
Yeah, no. But like, the historian in me starts looking at that and going, okay, why is this? And is it because of this and this and that? And,
Gotcha.
And I'll stop right there before I start. So
that I honestly don't know. I couldn't. I'm sure someone has written a paper about that.
Cold War politics would be my guess.
I mean, maybe. So, but like France is part of NATO. I mean, Cold War was obviously a bigger thing in Germany. With them being split in Twain and whatnot. But like
Twin twins.
France was definitely like involved in the Cold War.
Oh, no, I'm not saying they weren't, but okay. So here, Abby's not here, but I have to bring up Little House on the Prairie anyway. When Alex is like, "Oh gods, it's already started."
Alex knew what he was
Real
setting
quick.
up for.
Real quick, that's true, he did. Okay, when we were occupying Japan, General MacArthur wanted some good American propagandistic stuff for Japanese children to read in schools, and so one of the first American pieces of literature that was translated and put into Japanese schools was The Long Winter by Laura Ingalls Wilder.
Okay.
And it was supposed to, make them feel good about, you can get through these hard times and independence and blah, all the stuff that comes out of that. So knowing that, and actually having just recently been talking about that in a class, it popped into my head. I wonder how much Trek was pushed into Germany in terms of in a propagandistic way, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So that might be why. But I have no evidence for that whatsoever. It's just assumptions.
So I have another thought, actually, as I was thinking about the Cold War. Germany, even today, and especially in the mid-20th century, had a huge U.S. military presence.
Oh, yes.
And those Americans were watching American TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And France did not.
And I think it's just also the French have always been much more resistant to American cultural products than the Germans have
That's
been.
also true.
I think it's just...
Except revolutions. The revolution, they took that, they embraced it, they made it their own. But the rest of it,
well,
no.
I think their experience with that has potentially set up their resistance to wanting to do more of that later on. I think there's just something about German culture that has always meant that they have been a bit more receptive to not just Star Trek, but lots of, especially in the science fiction realm, American cultural products.
Yeah.
I've complained about this before, but Germany has a huge library of Star Trek audiobooks that never got audiobook releases in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Star Trek is a major thing in Germany.
Thad, you shouldn't think of that as a barrier. You should think of that as an incentive to boot up your
German.
Duolingo app and learn some German.
Infinite diversity brought to you.
Yeah.
All right. Enough about Prodigy. We can talk about Prodigy when we finally get to watch Prodigy. But as for the other Star Treks, there was a big Variety article about whether Star Trek is still relevant and still matters in today's world. And I think we all know what we think about that question. But there were some interesting news tidbits in that.
One of the most interesting that I found, there's 67.5 million people subscribing to Paramount Plus as of the end of last year. And
that feels like not a lot of people. Is that worldwide or domestic?
That's a good question. Well, you go asking me questions that I'm like not knowing about. Let's use the find tool. This is US. Okay, so from the Variety article. Well, okay, so the Variety article says nearly 1 in 5 of the Paramount Plus Star Trek subscribers in the US is watching at least one Star Trek series, according to the company, Paramount. And more than 50% of fans watching one of the new Trek shows also watch at least 2 others. So that's US percentages. Now we're getting this friend of the show Caleb did some little bit of math on Twitter here, and that's where I'm seeing the 67.5 million.
Yeah, and I just looked that up. That is worldwide.
Okay.
Which
so that's still.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not too bad. It's millions of people.
Yeah.
By comparison,
it's the population of the United Kingdom.
There you go.
By comparison, Disney Plus has 150 million worldwide, which I actually would have expected that to be higher. Once I saw that number, I'm like, that's actually seems reasonable now because Disney's going to be more popular.
I'm honestly kind of surprised that Paramount Plus is 50% the number of Disney Plus subscribers.
I know,
probably
right?
would have put it at 30 if you just asked me to guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that I think when I reposted the article, I posted something like, Paramount is the house that Trek built, and it is.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've been saying that for years, but...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it's nice to have numbers, Yeah, so that was a big one. And on the other side of that, I guess that also explains why they might be having issues with people subscribing, because, there's only so many of us, and not all of us are going to subscribe, so...
Yeah.
And there's
if they're not going to do Star Trek all the time, they're not going to get people subscribing all the time.
Yeah. Not everybody is going to keep that subscription going through.
I know quite a few people who cancel it as soon as the new Star Trek series is over.
Yeah. Which if I were more on top of things in my life, I might actually do that. I'm not, so I don't.
I mean,
but yeah.
I am in a constant state of watching Star Trek, so I mean,
yeah, true.
Even if it's not new, I still want it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You have it in other forms.
That's why I do the annual subscription.
Yeah. Oh, good call. Yeah. I got to start doing that. Here's another reason for people who like the old shows better. If you're familiar with Pluto TV, are you at all familiar with this streaming service?
Oh yeah, I've watched a little bit of Pluto TV.
They just added a DS9 channel.
They went from having 2 Star Trek channels that randomly showed stuff from all the older series to having one each dedicated for each series.
Yeah.
So there's a TOS, Next Gen, DS9, Voyager channels. I don't think they have Enterprise.
No, I don't think so.
At least it doesn't have a channel.
They just added the DS9 one last week, so I think they're...
Well, that's when they split them up.
Yeah.
Because they were showing DS9, but it was on the...
It was on the Star Trek channel. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that, which is awesome, but you have to watch commercials. They also have a Godzilla channel, which is constantly on in my house on some TV.
Nice.
Because of Jay, which is fine. I think I'll have Japanese learned shortly because of that.
No,
anyway, back to variety.
Like Pluto from time to time because there are times when I want to go back to how it was in the 90s where I just turn on the TV and watch what's on. And I don't want to have any active choice in deciding exactly what I'm going to watch.
Yes. Agreed. Right. So back to the Variety article.
I think one of the more exciting information we got was that Section 31, which is complete, has completed filming, and I still think is going to come out probably the end of this year.
That's what the press photos say on the Paramount Plus press portal site. They say coming in 2024.
Oh. Yeah. I could have looked at that. Anyway, Section 31, which just wrapped up, is going to include Rachel Garrett, specifically a young Rachel Garrett. Casey Roll, who I know from The Magicians, is playing Rachel Garrett in Section 31. So we know that at least part of Section 31 is going to be set in what is colloquially known as the Lost Era, the period between the TOS movies and TNG.
Yeah. Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Yes. I think that should be pretty cool.
My ship and my crew need me now.
And I hope we're gonna get some Monster Maroons.
Oh, yes. Well, we know we have to, unless they decide that there was a uniform in between and then they went back to them.
That's possible.
It is possible. At some point, they lose the collars,
or they decide that there's like 6 different uniforms at the same time, like we get in the.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. My guess would be. So I have two guesses for Section 31. One, you're not going to see a lot of Starfleet, at least not a lot of Starfleet uniforms, right? Because it's Section 31. My guess is Rachel Garrett is undercover and probably, for like 95% of the movie is going to be wearing some civilian clothing. So I don't think you're going to see a lot of Starfleet. And my guess is it probably won't be the classic Monster Maroon, but it'll be a costume that it'll be a uniform that significantly harkens back to, or, you know, like, it'll look like it, but it won't be it, would be my guess. And, you know, for them then just to say, well, you didn't see a really large portion of time here, and even when you did, they were massively contradictory in terms of how they showed those uniforms, whether they had the undershirts, whether they didn't, what kind of com badges they had, whether they didn't, whether they had belts, whether they didn't, just because, you know, they were starting to run out of usable maroon costumes in the warehouse. So I think they're just going to look at that and go, absolutely not. Are we like slavishly adhering to, you know, this massively inconsistent depiction of what the uniforms were during this period of time? So I think it's going to be something that looks like it, but won't be it.
And for the people who consider that to be an insult to Star Trek, they probably weren't going to watch Section 31 already.
Yeah. If it matters to you that it's the monster maroon without the undershirt, you probably are not interested in this product anyway.
So, fun fact. So, Thad's uniform corner here for a second.
Yes.
People come to me with this frequently. Like, I bet you hate what they do with the Monster Maroons. It's like, no, because if you look at it throughout how you see Monster Maroons in various episodes of TNG, it actually does draw a timeline. We had the Monster Maroons with the Trapunto collars back in the TOS movie days. And then as time went by, the uniforms modified to the point where in Tapestry, they wore undershirts, but they didn't have collars. And by Yesterday's Enterprise, they didn't wear undershirts at all, and only the captain got a comm badge and a belt. And then, which in itself is also thick, because look at Discovery. Yeah. On Discovery, the captains have different stuff in their uniforms. They got the shoulder things and the pips on the neck that no one else does. And then by the era of Wesley Crusher's birth, they had switched over to the TNG comm badge. It's just an evolution of the uniform. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm very happy for you that you have a very internally consistent way of thinking about this. I would be prepared for things to challenge your consistent understanding of the evolution of the uniform between the Undiscovered Country and Encounter at Farpoint.
Alex, I've been a Star Trek fan for 30 years. I've been challenged by my internal understanding of how everything works in Star Trek the whole time. It's fine.
All I'll say, I don't like the way the Monster Maroon looks without the collar. I'm not going to complain about continuity there. I just think
I agree it looks better with the collar.
Same as with the TNG uniforms, it needs the collar. I think they did a decent job with Pike in the Monster Maroon, the little bit that we saw. And if they take that as the, basis, then okay, I'm okay.
I liked the TNG Pike Maroon, except for the fact I don't like how low the flap goes. Like,
yes, the flap is too low.
The fact that the flap is like diagonal instead of straight across, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Other than that,
so they fix that and keep the collars.
Yeah,
that's it.
We finally got official confirmation that Academy is going to be in the 32nd century.
Yes.
And set on Earth.
We all knew that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Maybe we will get an explanation as to why there's a massive tree in the middle of a bunch of other trees that aren't so large.
I mean, it's not just that. It's the fact that you have this massive tree in a place where 200 years before it was water. So it's like it's a tree that's existed for such a very long time. But if you look at the Starfleet, even if you just look at the Kurtzman era Starfleet Command sort of like establishing shots, like when you go back, that's not a park, that's water, it's bay. I think it's like a little like even harbor thing. So yeah.
Well, various shots over the years have placed the Academy on different sides of the bay. So
no, it just means it doesn't mean that it's on both. It doesn't mean it's inconsistent. It just means it's on both sides of the bay.
Yeah. I just want them to please film some shots at the Japanese garden.
Yeah. Because if it still looks like it, I mean, how much has that changed in 30 some odd
Oh,
Not
years?
no,
much.
it still looks
It
very
must
much the
have.
same.
I was
Oh,
there.
okay. Well,
I was
good,
there
then,
in
yeah, let's do that.
2016, and it looked. It's
They don't
like
let you wear Starfleet uniforms there, which is sad.
actually.
What do you mean they don't let you?
There's a sign and everything.
So the sign. Somebody once asked the people who worked there about the sign and what the sign meant. The sign actually does not mean that you can't wear Star Trek costumes. The sign means that you can't do professional photo shoots. I think they were getting sick of all the. It wasn't the Star Trek fans they were getting sick of. It was the weddings.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I could see people. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So,
so
like,
it's
if I
actually
want to go there in my uniform and take some selfies, that's fine.
correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the sign is misleading, and someone even said to the guy like, "Well, your sign is misleading because." He was like, "Yeah, we used to get all these Star Trek people coming by, and now nobody comes by in uniform anymore." And the guy was like, "Yeah, because your sign basically says sort of very strongly implies that you don't want them." So yeah, I don't know if the sign has changed since that conversation. I would imagine not, but
No.
but yes, that is my understanding of the situation with the sign.
Yeah, because I actually thought about going last year when the cruise left out of LA. I thought about taking some time going to the.
Oh, it's absolutely worth going to see.
But because I knew that they didn't let you, that I thought you weren't allowed to wear a uniform or do a photo. It's like, well, that's half the fun.
Yeah.
So now I just have to go back to LA, I guess.
Yep. Well, it's no
Yeah.
bad thing having an excuse to go back.
Do Vasquez rocks too, just see all the sites.
Yeah.
Was there anything else big from the Variety article?
Oh,
I'm
yeah, I
also
think that was
merging
it. I know we're
because
forgetting
there've just
something.
been press tours in general because Discovery was coming out. So like I'm merging Variety plus like some of the interviews that some of the other sites did with Alex Kurtzman in my head. Like I know specifically there was it Collider that did an interview with him where he basically said that Star Trek Legacy is almost certainly going to happen. They just can't. It's just in this environment they can't get it greenlit now.
Yeah, there was discussion of if Section 31 can be a movie, then Legacy can be a movie, I think was what I read.
So the Variety article says that if the Section 31 movie is successful, a sequel is possible, and that they had said a year ago that the Section 31 movie was meant to kick off ideally, if it was successful, kick off a series of streaming movies. And the Variety article says that a Star Trek Picard movie in TV movie form was a possibility. Yeah. And then to Collider, Kurtzman said, if it was up to me,
yep,
I would have greenlit Star Trek Legacy already. That decision is, quote, above my pay grade. So he wasn't saying that it's definitely coming, but he was saying, I want it to happen. And the reason that it's not happened is because of the studio, is because of Paramount, and not because of Alex Kurtzman.
Yeah, and I think at this point Paramount is very reticent to greenlight a lot of things because they're in the process of trying to sell themselves.
Yes, well, and they're trying to make Paramount Plus profitable.
Yeah,
and is there additional profit to be wrung out of Star Trek through and is there additional revenue to be wrung out of Star Trek through an additional show? Possibly. I think given the data showing the vast majority of Star Trek fans who are subscribing to Paramount Plus are not one in, one out in terms of I'm only here for Star Trek Picard, or I'm only here for Discovery, or I'm only here for Strange New Worlds, that most Star Trek fans are there for all of the shows. Does the level of investment in something like Star Trek Legacy, does that generate enough additional revenue to justify the cost? Probably not at this stage in time.
So, yeah, now thinking about that, would, if that study had shown that, that most people who watch a Star Trek show don't watch other Star Trek shows, would we be more likely to get more Star Trek out of that?
No, probably not. But it probably would matter around the edges about which shows people were showing up for and which they weren't.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
like, because then if there was a huge contingent of fans who had stuck around for Star Trek Picard, and then the moment Picard was gone, they were gone as well, that creates a more compelling argument for the existence of a Star Trek legacy than it's people like us who are like, oh, this year I get to watch Strange New Worlds and Starfleet Academy, and who are not, and oh, I would like to watch a Star Trek Picard show, but it's not generating any behavioral change in me around my subscription status or my commitment to watching other Paramount Plus Star Trek shows.
But there was a very vocal minority on Trek Twitter who believes that people only want to watch Picard and Legacy.
Yes, there's an extremely vocal minority of people who do that, but it's like, but I think
very vocal, but also very minority.
Yes, and if the business case existed for it, of course it would have happened. And I continue to challenge people. I want, don't get me wrong, I want Star Trek Legacy very much, but like for the people who are like, this is what Star Trek needs right now, my answer is, how is that really any different from Strange New Worlds? Right, you are talking about an enterprise show that would be sort of like, probably, if not episode of the week, you're at least doing mini arcs that is like out boldly going and exploring the galaxy, that, like, for the people are like, oh, well, so I think the Strange New Worlds focus is because it reaches a younger demographic of Star Trek fans than Star Trek Legacy would, and people are like, well, you had all these new characters in Star Trek Legacy, like your Jack Crushers and your Sidney LaForges, that the show would be about. And then it's like, well, why is Jack Crusher any more uniquely interesting or different than Sam Kirk, and how is Sidney LaForge any more uniquely interesting or different than Nyota Uhura, right? Like, there's not really anything compellingly unique about sort of the construction of a legacy show that, like, I want it, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to have two Strange New Worldses, but it really is just a second Strange New Worlds with Jerry Ryan in the lead role rather than Anson Mount in the lead role.
Yeah, and if they were to cancel Strange New Worlds for Legacy, that would be an extreme monkey paw situation that I do not want.
Right.
Yeah, no. Nobody wants that.
Nor is there any reason to do that. Strange New Worlds, according to the Nielsen streaming ratings, is more... Strange New Worlds Season 2 was more popular than Star Trek Picard Season 3. So, like, if you have a show that sort of fits that niche and it's more popular, you can see why the network would turn around and say, we're not going to invest millions of dollars in making this show.
I do think we'll see something in the future, just based on the way Kurtzman said it sounded similar to what he used to say when people would talk to him about a possible Pike show back in 2019. I think at some point we're going to see something.
I think that's highly likely.
I hope so.
But it might be a while.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
And I think the length of time in which you have to wait for Star Trek Legacy is entirely determined by the level of success for the Starfleet Academy show.
Yes.
If that lands on Paramount Plus and nobody likes it and nobody wants to watch it, then you can see them very quickly shuffling that off and launching something new instead. If Starfleet Academy launches and it's popular, and particularly if it's starts to do the things they want it to do around sort of shifting the demographic of Star Trek viewers marginally lower than it is right now, then Starfleet Academy is going to stick around, in which case it's like either you have to wait for Strange New Worlds to get too expensive, or you have to wait for Starfleet Academy's popularity to fall off.
Well, I think Strange New Worlds has a finite number of seasons. I think we all know that. Like,
yeah, it's probably 5.
If Strange New Worlds gets more than 5 seasons, I will be shocked.
Yeah.
And even so, if they are doing a season a year, it has to end after 8. Right?
Well, I mean, they can come up with all sorts of
Oh,
explanations
I
for
know they
why
don't
this
have to do a
season
season
is
a
only
year.
the course of 4 months or something.
Right. No, I get that. But, there does
Or
come a
they
point.
could do the conspiracy theory that a couple of people have put out that like the last couple seasons will just be TOS 2.0. I don't think that's happening.
I don't know why bother. I mean, I could see a carry like a little bit of a overlap for like maybe the last couple of episodes.
Yeah.
That
But we're not
thing
going to
where
get a
they,
season of
yeah,
Kirk in Command of the Enterprise.
no, but that thing where they have people have talked about Ethan Peck and the new Kirk and some new McCoy, walking into the turbo lift, and then it's the scene of
Yeah.
them
Oh
walking
no.
out.
That yes, I need that.
That, yeah, if that doesn't happen, I'm gonna be very sad. But yeah, I don't. No, why would they do that? Why
Well,
would they put many into something that already exists?
there were a bunch of people saying that during season 2, saying the reason Paul Wesley is showing up so much is because they're gonna soft launch it and they're gonna take Anson Mount out and replace him with Paul Wesley, and like that's not happening. But
No,
enough
no.
weird speculation and credence to internet rumors. Let's talk about Star Trek Discovery.
Let's do
I
it.
think my favorite internet rumor that was around that was the skipping Star Trek 4 to go right to Star Trek 5. That was the best. The April Fool's joke.
Yes.
That was good. I very much enjoyed
That was
that.
Yeah, math. Okay. All right. So yes, so let's talk about Star Trek Discovery. We have begun season 5 as the final season. Sad. So we have episode 1, which is the Red Directive. Alex, what do you think?
I really liked it. Right, Star Trek Discovery is back, and it's still Star Trek Discovery. Right, the show has not sort of fundamentally reinvented itself. I think which is for people who like it, that's great. For people who don't like it, you're probably not gonna, it's probably not gonna catch you in its final season. But I really liked it. I think the big thing for me that has significantly improved my enjoyment of this season over the previous season is the decision to tell us what the season's about and not sort of like hide the ball, right? Like that you could very easily see a construction of this season in which you don't learn about the Chase tie-in and the progenitors until episode 9 of the season, right? That's the season 4 version of this story. And I think them moving the answer to that question from episode 9 to episode 1 is hugely beneficial for not just these 2 episodes, but the 2 episodes that come after, in terms of, like, in season 4, every episode I watched, I had this sense of like, okay, this episode is good, but you have told me that there is this really important question and you have not answered this question, and therefore it is really impeding my ability to enjoy this episode, because I just can't shake this feeling that the episode is just a waypoint towards the answer to whatever this question is that you want to answer. Whereas the simple switch up of answering the question and then going on the weekly adventures means that every week I can focus on what that adventure is, rather than being like, is this going to answer my question or not? Because my question has already been answered.
Thad, what about you?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Alex. Although I as we discussed in our last episode, I definitely enjoyed season 4 a lot more on a rewatch than I did when we first saw it. But I do agree that by doing less of a mystery box, even though the first episode does, the plot revolves around a literal mystery box, but it gets opened. It does
Very quickly and efficiently.
Yeah, by doing less of a mystery box, I do think it gives us a more compelling story. I am really enjoying Discovery. I'm not sure, but this might be the most excited I've been at the start of a Discovery season.
Okay.
It's this or season 2.
Yeah, I enjoyed this too. It was it felt like Discovery in a lot of ways, but it also had kind of a different feel. And I'm usually the last person to bring up the music because I have a super tin ear, but oh my God, the music made it feel so different. It felt, I don't know, a little more adventurous and more like a Trek movie I'm not sure. I'm not hitting the right points with that. I think people who know about music better can do that. But
Friend
yeah.
of the show, Carl Wonders, executive producer
Mm-hmm.
or associate producer Carl Wonders, no less,
Mm-hmm.
just actually texted me last night because he was watching it, and he said, he commented that the music is, and his whole, he's really into the music. I mean, his Twitter
Mm-hmm.
handles
Mm-hmm.
listen to film and all that. He's really,
Right.
and he's saying it's like he says that it's some of the best. Jefferson Russo music he's heard in a long time. He said specifically what he said was, "It's like he discovered that winds exist, and it's great."
I like that. All right. Random interesting fact that I didn't know, my sister pointed out to me. Jeff Russo is part of, or was part of the band Tonic.
I've never heard of the band Tonic.
You've never,
I
you
did
have
know
heard of the
that.
band Tonic.
Name me a song.
If
I
you could
probably
only
heard.
see,
No,
oh, I bet if I played it, you'd know it. I mean, they were
probably.
everywhere in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Um, but I love Tonic, and I was like, oh my God, that's very random. Anyway, well, getting into the episode. Start off with, just jumping right into the story and Burnham standing on the back of a ship at warp, because you can do that. That's fine.
I always love the oft used storytelling trope where a show or a movie will jump us into an action, and then they'll
Hmm.
say, "This is not where I thought my day would go," and then you go back to
Yes,
where their day started. It's
I do
such a
like that.
tired trope, but I love it every time.
Yeah, yeah, I can't disagree. Yeah, so she's on the back of the starship, and then we go back to a Federation Day party with a drink that I'm sure everyone has figured out how to make by now.
Well, that drink looks cool.
It,
Tastes like Jumbo Sticks.
I
yeah.
liked that reference as well. I want to say, I really like the dress uniforms that we see
Mm-hmm.
Stamets, Tilly, etc. wearing. I like them a lot better than the ones that Michael and Saru wear, which presumably are specific for captains or possibly for everyone in Command Division. But my guess is captains, in the same way that captains get that shoulder strap and the thing on the
Yeah.
neck. But I really like the way those dress uniforms look.
Yeah. Yeah. The little like diagonal
Mm-hmm.
metal stripy thing kind of reminded me of the Mirror Universe uniforms, so that kind of like for a minute I was like, wait, why did they do that? But it does look good if putting that aside. So
I also like their virtual name tags. That was cool.
I missed that.
Yeah, when Stamets
Okay.
taps his combat and it pops up, it says Paul Stamets Luminary.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's right. Scientific luminary it is, yes.
Yes.
So that I mean there's some kind of obvious setup stuff there. Stamets is unhappy because his scientific baby has been set aside and he doesn't know what to do with himself. And then
I hope we
yeah,
find out about the pathway drive at some point. I'd like to know what that
yeah.
is, how it works, what it does. It's possible we won't because Discovery doesn't have one, and it might just be something they reference a couple times as their replacement for the spore drive, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah, yeah. Um right. Oh, so I think I have a sneaking suspicion he might be getting into older cybernetics after this episode, but we'll see. Yeah, so they're chatting around the party. Saru gets offered an ambassadorship. Tarina tells him to be logical about it, which he's kind of disturbed by. But I did love how she said, "Are you going to tell me what it is, or do I have to give you a mind meld? Or you forced me to mind meld?" That was really, I mean, like a Vulcan joke. Pretty damn good. Pretty
Yeah,
damn
they're a
good.
great couple.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. So then Burnham gets handed Burnham gets called over to the Admiral and gets handed a plastic infinity thingy that you could get out of a machine, like from a toy machine in the 90s or something. Uh, and then they go to the white place, which we talked about. The nothingness. What's a red directive, you think?
I assume it's a thing that they developed post burn. It just
It's in the same book as the Omega Directive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of them, apparently, because...
Yeah.
Yeah, because Raina says he's done 4.
Well, he was involved. He was the lead for 4. I think he was
Yeah.
involved in more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
yeah.
something that, like, when Starfleet Intelligence assigns, like, at a high, or whatever it is that Kovich works for, assigns a highest priority to something, it gets a red directive and it takes priority. But I suspect that's going to be another thing we'd never learn entirely what it's about, in the same way that we're probably never going to learn what Kovich's deal actually is.
Yeah. 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 I'm a little disturbed that it's not defined somewhere along the line, but I guess.
I mean,
okay.
I am always disturbed when something is not defined, but,
Yeah. Well, I guess I want to know if there's other color directives.
In fact,
It's
I
a
want
blue
to
directive
make
or a
a
yellow
small
directive or...
fish shake. Speaking of things not being defined and me being annoyed by it, I want to make a small fish shake at Claire Little at Trek Core in her review for Red Directive. She mentions the pathway drive and has a link to it. I'm like, oh, cool, this is going to tell me what it is. And no, it's just to the Memory Alpha article that says the pathway drive is a drive that, and just references that it was mentioned in this episode. I'm like, why did you put that link there at all, Claire? Just to tease me.
Because maybe down the line there will be information there.
Probably.
I'll give her that. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So then we're off to go to the Romulan ship, and Maul and Locke are headed in that direction. And Kovich tags along because, he's Kovich. That's fine. What do you guys think about this whole... We've got this puzzle on this Romulan ship that's 800 years old, and
I love that the
dead
ship
bodies
is
and all that.
the same design that we saw in TNG.
Yes. They have to do that.
Hmm.
They have to do that.
I mean, I love it. I love I love all the, like, chase tie-in stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love that they got an actor who looked a bit like the guy, one of the extras who was in TNG.
Yeah.
I like that they did the TNG Romulan science vessel, like that they did a pretty passable reproduction of the TNG Romulan uniform. Like,
no shoulder pads though.
Yeah, but say, I mean, that
not everybody had it.
That, like, quilt pattern is probably not easy to find these days. So yeah, like, I liked everything about, and I also liked the way in which it both felt classically TNG Romulan, but there were also Picard Romulan cultural sort of little bits here and there. I mean, I'm probably conflating the 2 episodes together at this point, because some of that Michael Chabon stuff that he wrote about that never made it on screen, that's now been canonized, I think was Under the Twin Moons. But yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, so they get their head of Discovery. They pick up a bunch of stuff, and Locke tries to get Mole to just leave. Like, I get the impression he's not as enthusiastic about this.
I think Locke is
Maul
enthusiastic about Maul, but not about what else is what's going on with the mystery.
Okay. I was momentarily distracted because I thought Maul looked like Chiana from Farscape. I don't know if you guys watched Farscape.
I can see that.
But that was very like. You didn't watch Farscape, Alex?
No.
Or you didn't think she looked like? Oh, it's good. It's good. Yeah.
I tried the first episode a couple of years ago, and it didn't vibe with me.
It takes a little bit of, like so many things. All right, so we end up with we have a firefight on the Romulan ship. Olo and Reese get stuck in bubbles, and Burnham ends up falling out the bottom of the ship in a hole that thankfully everybody has these little Guardians of the Galaxy style things that go over their heads so that they don't just immediately die.
Speaking of technology on Discovery, I want to mention just quick that this is the first season where we get the now standard Star Trek intro for Discovery. So we get the Discovery flying around the Delta, and it spore jumps in at the beginning, which I think is great.
Yeah.
I have to rewatch that and give it better attention. I totally missed that part. That's awesome. I know it takes time and effort and money, but I would really like them to get that for the rest of the older shows. Just, I
And
mean, they have
even
the
the
basic
existing shows
animation
for
bit.
their early seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm hoping they add those soon. There's really no reason not to. I don't get that, but you know, cost cutting where you can, right? You don't need to have an animator do that.
I don't know. I wonder if there's some sort of weird there's some sort of specific like royalty licensing thing where if they make any changes at all to the file, they have to like do something.
I think it's just that thing that appeals to us as people who very much like extremely consistent consistency, but it's like it's just like why would you have to pay
Nobody else
someone to
cares.
take the time to do that, right? Like I'm sure it is not I'm sure that it is not something where it's just like copying and pasting in a slide into a PowerPoint deck, right? Like I'm sure it's more sophisticated
Yes.
and it's like, you know, when you are making television, which is an endeavor of having too little time and too little people just to make the stuff that's supposed to come out next year, aside from because we would like to see it, I don't know that I see I don't know I see a compelling reason for the studio to go back and add that into all the previous episodes. As cool as that would be.
To some Paramount intern who's there
Well,
on a
I mean,
graphics design thing.
but
Just,
if that's the case, then what was the point of them doing it at all for the current episodes?
Well, because they want to create a
like the
consistent
Marvel
look and
thing.
feel moving forward.
Right. If they want to create a consistent look and feel, then
Forward.
and they know that everyone who watches everyone who watches Star Trek also watches other Star Treks.
Yeah, but they don't.
Should...
But they're not making it for us. We are not that when they think about who, like, where do we invest time and energy and money, and who do we invest that time and energy and money on in terms of how will this generic person think about us taking an action? Will they like it? Will they not like it? The three of us are not the generic person that they have in mind. The generic person they have in mind has no conception of the fact that there isn't that franchise ident included in all of the previous episodes, because they don't like engage with the work as deeply as we do.
Reality check, Alex. That's fine.
I guess.
That's fine. All right. Well, the Antares comes along, captained by Rayner.
Never
he has
trust
a personal
Cylon.
grudge. Never trust a Cylon. It's another show I need to watch. I know. I was absolutely certain the first time I saw pictures of him that they had somehow gotten it wasn't Liam Neeson. It was one of those other big British actors of the last 20 years or so. Anyway,
I have
Daniel Craig. I thought he looked like Daniel Craig.
Oh, yeah, I can see it.
And I was like,
Daniel Craig had a cameo in Star Wars, so it's not impossible.
no, but it would have been very strange to have somebody come in and be like a major character and
well, that's why he hung up
Daniel Craig.
That's why he hung up his hat for Bond, because he wants to be on Star Trek now, obviously.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, of course. Anyway, right. So we have Rayner, who is apparently a member of a species that we saw once, and he has decided he's not going to wear his hair the way they do.
Yeah, the Kelleran from the DS9 episode Armageddon Game, which is the one where O'Brien and Bashir are helping
finally become friends.
Yes, it's the one where they become friends, but it's the one where they're helping the Kellerans destroy their weapon of mass destruction, and the Kellerans decide to kill them because they have to kill anyone who knows about the weapons.
So that's, good connection. He's got some kind of personal grudge with Mole and Locke that we don't entirely have information on yet.
Been involved in the past for some instance or other. I guess probably some other artifact of some kind, but I don't know.
Yeah. So he and Burnham have an argument while she's standing on the back of the ship, because that's what you do. he doesn't want to let them go. And eventually she, I don't know, does she appeal to his better nature about not letting people die?
Yeah, I think
Kind
so.
of. Yeah. And they drop all their warp signature decoys, which forces Burnham to bring in Book because nobody else could possibly figure that out, including her.
So, Book didn't figure out the warp signature decoy. What he did was he just guessed where they would go to sell the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that makes I'm okay with her bringing in Book in that, because it's not necessarily that he's the only one in the universe who would know, but he's someone that she knows who would know, because he's a courier, like, and the courier would know the answer.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what to do with the two of them.
Neither do they.
Neither do they. I guess maybe that's good writing because that's how I feel about it. But yeah.
I definitely may have said some choice words the first time I saw the episode, saw the second episode, and Saru made a comment about how Burnham needs a first officer like Book. I'm like, don't you frickin' dare. Yes. Only I did not say frickin'. Yeah.
Yeah, that was very. Yeah, not a good idea. Even if they were in a place where they knew how to deal with each other, that's not a good idea.
No.
So they go to this place called Kamau, which is apparently the Star Trek version of like Tatooine or something. You know.
Just once, I'd like to watch a sci-fi show where they go to some marketplace town and it, like, I don't know, looks like 20th century Europe or something other than insert
the Christmas Bazaar in Germany. Yeah.
Generic Middle Eastern analog here.
I didn't even think about the Middle Eastern part. There is a bit of Orientalism there, isn't there? Maybe.
Yeah, possibly, but it's just it's such a trope that you go to the planet, and if it's gonna be a trading place where, you know, you can buy and sell things, it's gonna look like a Middle Eastern bazaar. That's just what they do, and it's not bad, and it's a trope, so that's why they do it. But at the same time, it's like, come on.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. So we meet Fred.
Love Fred.
Apparently, I want a short trek with Fred's life. I want to know.
Forget Star Trek Legacy. Give me Star Trek Fred.
Yeah, Fred on Legacy. We could see him there. Early days.
True. Oh, Fred, the early days. Yes.
Yeah. There you go. We know he's at least what he says he hasn't seen one of those puzzle boxes in 622 years, so we can figure he's at least 623 years old.
I think we assume he's much older than that once we determine that his serial number is supposed to reference his creator, Alton Sung.
Okay, so I wasn't sure the way Stamets was talking about that, because he talks about acknowledging the creator. Whoever built him acknowledged Alton Sung.
Okay.
But
Maybe.
I wasn't sure if that meant that it was an Alton Sung. He was an Alton Sung creation. Because that was what I assumed at first. And then I started overthinking it maybe. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I think I assume he's one of the Coppelius androids.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay. All right. I like that we learn that Stamets has been reading up on what happened in the last 900 years, which I think is an interesting. That's why I think he might end up heading toward cybernetics in some way. It won't be cybernetics, perhaps, but that idea.
Is Discovery gonna get a Brent Spiner cameo instead of a Jonathan Frakes cameo?
Well, both. Why not? I am really holding out hope that we're gonna see like Riker in some way, shape, or form. You know,
if they don't, it will be the first Star Trek series to end without Frakes in it since the animated series.
I mean, even just like if they're gonna lead into the Academy show, like maybe there's a picture of him on a wall. That's all I need. That would be
Mhm.
cool, you know? Anyway. Um all right, okay, so they're dealing with Fred. Fred does the data thing of I'm gonna read all the book in 2 seconds, and then offers them 3 bars of latinum and then tells them they can't have it back even if they don't accept that.
Fred's a gangster.
Mhm.
And a
Not
not very good one,
not
since he
the
immediately dies.
smartest move. No, I mean, if he obviously has money, he
Mhm.
could have offered them more. I realize 3 bars is a lot of money, at least as we understand Latinum. Um, but
Yeah, I mean,
it
how
seems like
I guess Latin must not experience much inflation because that's that we understand that to sound like a lot of money in the 24th century, but 1,000 years of inflation
yeah,
later, you would have thought that it wouldn't be, but presumably that's not the case.
yeah. That's because I did think about that. I'm like, that seems like not a lot even for the other stuff. But he did the classic. He let them know that he was interested, and then immediately they're like, "Oh no, this is worth more. Don't do that." So then, yeah, he gets killed, and Burnham and Book and Rayner find him, and they have no chain of command for this. I skipped over that. No chain of command for this. Work together. Whose job is it? Work together. That seems like a really bad idea. I don't know. Okay, you guys are like,
It's Star Trek. They're
Yeah.
not really very consistent about that.
She's got 930 years of seniority on him, but as far as he's concerned, she's a upstart out of nowhere. That's and I guess
It's
her
character
both of them
drama.
have the personality to
Mhm.
take over. Yeah, all right. So it's
So
for the story.
I want to know the real interesting thing here is when she says that no one has made her so this mad in 930 years. Who was it? Who in the 23rd century made her that mad?
It's gotta be Lorca, right? He
Hmm.
did try and kill her.
That's
Yeah, maybe.
yeah, yeah. That's where I was going with it, but maybe. Well, I guess it wouldn't be Mira Georgiou because that's long. That's not as much time.
Or maybe um yeah, I guess Lorca is the only one that makes sense.
Assuming it's someone we know. She does
Yeah,
have relationships outside of what we see on TV.
that's true.
Okay. It's a fill-in for later. Um. Right. So for like 2 seconds until they, not more than 2 seconds, 2 minutes until they killed Fred, I was really sure we were going to get a pickup of the Tal Shiar versus the synths from Picard. Did you guys
Okay,
get that
yeah,
vibe
yeah.
at all?
I could see that. I did
Yeah.
not expect that, but I could see it.
Yeah. Um. Right. So then they have Fred beamed up. She says, "Find out if he has any family on the planet," which I think is a very quick and easy way to show that synthetics are very much in a different place than they had been, which I would
Yeah.
hope
Mm-hmm.
they would be after
Yeah.
that
Yeah, it
long,
was a
but it does
nice.
take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then they go off on their chase on the sand speeders or whatever they were called, but they're really sand speeders.
And then two starships crash into the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Okay,
love that.
so I yeah, I do love that too, but
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't like. I don't think Rayner deserves as much flack as he gets for this.
I agree.
It is not his fault that Mao and Locke decided to make an avalanche. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
if he gave them the idea. It is not his fault.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
I think
agree.
it's yeah, I agree too. And I think you almost getting into the next episode, you almost think that Burnham maybe has a similar
Yeah, she
thought
basically says
process
that.
because she
Yeah.
doesn't want to speak out against him on that. The rest of it she's fine with, but um How did you guys feel about her micromanaging everything while she's on a sand speeder away from this away mission?
Uh,
Uh,
She's a captain.
yeah.
she's captain. That's
Yeah.
pretty standard for Star Trek.
Well, I don't know. I feel like okay, so maybe this is just me, but I feel like Discovery has really leaned into people are aware of what's going on at all times. Like they're piping the away missions into the bridge
Mhm.
and vice versa. And I feel like on the older shows, this would have been an opportunity for a little bit of let's see Saru in command, and
Mhm.
he's going to talk to the first officer and if of the other ship, the Antares, and we're trying to establish that um, Rayner is maybe a hothead or, he doesn't know what he's doing or he's gone off the deep end with these things. And then maybe we meet his first officer who kind of thinks that, but doesn't really want to necessarily push back against him. And then Saru convinces him to help. Now, I realize I am applying things to this show that don't necessarily go on this show, which is what I always say not to do, but it came into my head, so I'm bringing it up. All right. So we have as Alex said, we have a ship crash into the planet, prevent the avalanche
Two
from hitting the
ships.
people. Two ships, excuse me.
Mhm.
Two ships hit the planet to prevent the avalanche from hitting the people, and now they have to clean up all the sand off of it. So, right. And in the interim, we have Tilly investigating things while she's drunk. Drunk Tilly is one of my favorite Tillys.
It's nice to have
I
Tilly
love
back.
Drunk Tilly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had definitely missed Tilly. I was really glad to have her back in this episode.
Yeah. So we have this weird, awkward moment with her and some guy. I don't think his name we know yet. He might not ever show up again. Um, and then she's gonna go, hack into the Federation database. Not from the get-go. That's not what Burnham asked her to do, but that's what she ends up doing. And I love how, it's the classic. Oh, wow, you found out. I guess we'll have to deal with that later. We didn't get here in time. But I think Vance was peeved that he wasn't in on the information.
Yeah.
Totally. That's absolutely what that scene was about.
So they get the Romulan diary, they get the little the recording. They pull all that information out of Fred's brain. Um, and we find out this is a sequel to The Chase because Burnham just like puts it on Kovich, like, okay, I have a piece of information you need and you haven't figured it out. So there you go. You have to let me in.
So when they're pulling that info out of Fred's brain, what you see in real time Zora translating the text, but she's
Mm-hmm.
only translating the text on the left pages. Like the text on the left side lights up, then it turns. The text on the left side of the next page lights up, then it turns.
I did not notice that at all. I love it. Okay.
Apparently, the language it's written in, you write one document on the left side and then you write the other document on the right, and she just
There you
knows
go.
that the one on the left is the relevant one.
There you go.
Romulan, I guess, is the language
Yeah.
it's written in.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that with the way Romulans are, with all their extra doors and secrecy,
Exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah.
if it was something like that.
Works for me.
No, that one actually does. That tracks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, good eye on that. Right. So we find out that Starfleet records everything that ever happened because they always have recordings of things that happened, even though it didn't necessarily happen on a starship or, you know,
Yeah,
Data
I do
wasn't there.
wonder where
Data
that.
wasn't there for that moment, was he?
I don't.
I don't think he
I don't
was.
think so. Yeah, I do wonder where that camera was.
Yeah.
Similar to the camera in
It's
the
in one in
cave
Unification,
on
yeah.
Unification.
Well, okay, but the unification.
In the secret cave where they're hiding from the Romulans. Why there was a recording.
But Data saw that. So that's why I was like, oh, that's just Data's memories.
Okay.
That one I could justify. This one I don't know. There's a bunch of tricorders there. Somebody's just recording.
It's the same place the camera was in Encounter at Farpoint to show Riker what happened to bring him up to speed when he got on the ship.
That's right. Well, okay, but at least on the ship, I
Would
feel
you
like
like to see the
they're
scene from the
recording.
episode, or would you like to just have someone describe it to you?
Hmm. I mean, it's really cool that they did that, but at the same time, maybe there could be some creative license there about explaining it. And I don't
And
know.
yes, I agree that there may very well have been cameras strategically placed for cinematic, but who cut the video in Encounter in Farpoint is one.
Yes, that's
And
always
secondly, where did the cameras filming the courtroom, Q's courtroom scene come from?
right. Okay, I'm thinking too hard. I do love that this is what they've decided to pick up on. Of all of the potential stories that if they wanted to pick up on something 24th century, this is a good one, and this is an important one to the entirety of Trek canon, and Trek, the history of what comes to be Trek, their internal history. So, I'm down for that.
I was still holding out hope for the EMH backup module from Living Witness to be a thing this season, but
well, hey,
this is a good one.
8 episodes left.
That's not. Yeah.
That's true.
And
but probably not because he's in Prodigy.
Yeah, but having said that, he would be good to show up at the Academy on the Academy show.
You're right.
So there is a nice little opening for that anytime they want. And now he's the emergency history professor hologram. It's no adjuncts in the 32nd century. It's just emergency holograms.
They found a way to make it even cheaper.
I'm really excited about this. I can't wait for them to dive into this piece of Star Trek canon and flesh it out in more detail. So yeah, of all the possibilities of ancient artifacts that this could have been around, this is one of my favorite possibilities.
Yeah.
If I had a nickel for every time in Kurtzman era Star Trek that alien race portrayed by Salome Jens came back as an important plot point, I'd have 2 nickels, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, but it works. It works. We kind of touched on this, but just coming to the end here, Book and Burnham are not doing well with their long distance relationship because apparently neither one of them have actually tried to do anything.
Yeah, they are not in a relationship. That is very clear at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, but neither one of them decided to tell the other about it.
They just
well, I mean, one of them went to the Federation equivalent of prison, so Yeah,
but
it's obvious he could have sent a message.
I like how they both were like, "You're the one who didn't call."
Yeah,
it's clear
well,
that
they're both pissed off at each other for
yes,
where you see them. The main plot point from Coming Home is about her thinking that he's dead and then discovering that he's not. But there's still all of the history of the previous 7 or 8 episodes before that and everything that happens. So I very much support the "it's complicated" designation for their ongoing relationship.
Yeah. And I actually, I don't mind that they're not together anymore. I actually think that's the right move for Burnham. I don't know that it's the right move for him, but that's how that works. Because there is that background of it. She's looking at somebody who violated basically all of her personal principles. And yes, you can explain why, but that does not necessarily justify why. There's that fine line there. And I tell you what it reminded me of, and you're going to think this is ridiculous, and listeners will think it's ridiculous, but I'm going to say it anyway. Shaun of the Dead. You guys seen Shaun of the Dead?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So at the end of Shaun of the Dead, spoilers for a 20-some-odd-year-old movie, but at the end of Shaun of the Dead, okay, the girlfriend, they're together. Shaun and, I forgot what her name is.
Was it
Liz? Shaun and Liz are together. And I always have felt like trauma brings people together, but it does not necessarily create a lasting relationship.
No, but they had clearly already had chemistry in the past, so it's not, that one's not weird, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I guess where I look at it is he still a man-child? You know, is she still going to have to? Which is a whole, not what you're supposed to be thinking about with Shaun of the Dead. I get that.
I mean, I think partly, but I think we also, I think it's, I mean, yes, I think we're reading way too much into a comedy zombie movie, but I think it is also, the movie does also show that he has grown up in a lot of ways, even if he does now spend his time playing video games with a zombie.
Yeah, maybe I've just dealt with too many man children. So I guess I look at that and I say, if she can't get past him, detonating an isolytic weapon, I don't think that's wrong. That's where I'm going with that and with my weird analogy. Because Book is not a man-child. I won't say that. Yeah.
Hot Fuzz is the best of that trilogy.
Ooh, I do love Shaun of the Dead.
I love
World's
Shaun of the
End
Dead too. World's End is the weakest one. I think everyone can agree on that.
Yeah, we'll say that. Right. So then on the other side of that, with positive relationship things, Saru and Tarina are engaged. Yay!
Yay! Love it.
Serena's going to be, as she said, codified.
Do we like Serena better than Taru?
Is that what we decided? I couldn't remember which one we decided. I like Taru because I hear Serena and all I can think of is Serena Joy.
I feel like the apostrophe lends itself to it becoming a Taru, especially when we've got the R there, even if it's not in the same spot.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Taru is codified. There we go. Yeah.
Do you have any opinions on the ship name, Alex?
I like Taru.
Okay. Good.
There we go. We're going with Taru. They are adorable together. They have been ever since they first met.
Yeah.
I like, I like this. It's not going to be overly complicated.
Yeah.
Other than their, societal differences, but it's just going to be like, okay, these two people met each other and they fell in love, and they're both going to be relatively functional and maybe live happily ever after, and that'll be great.
I also think we need really more of that. Enjoy watching her Vulcan flirting.
Yes.
Yeah. I also really enjoy what it does for Saru's character. I mean, after having become the captain of the ship in season 3, being relegated to the first officer again in season 4, was like, okay, you understand it from the perspective of you're just trying to fit all the characters into the same show, and, that had that sort of sense of we're just off doing one thing, but like you couldn't have gotten more than one season out of that dynamic. And so I'm glad they've switched it up and given him a position that, is not a downgrade from the sort of highest position that he had reached.
Yeah.
Like, because in some ways, Michael's journey has been at the expense of Saru's, right? Like, he was the captain at the beginning of season 3, and then she became the captain at the end of season 3, and then like he became the first officer for season 4. So like I'm glad that they have sort of found a way to resolve that and give him an arc that does allow his character to continue to develop and evolve.
All right. So we have the second episode, which aired the same night as the first episode. Under the Twin Moons. Alex, what'd you think this week? Or
good continuation,
the second half of this week?
Action-packed. Okay, actually thinking about this episode, obviously it's a decent amount happens, but also not a lot happens, because it is like one basically just long extended action set piece, which, but a very good long extended action set piece. It sort of continues the adventure vibe of the season. I liked the Promelian, sort of callbacks. I thought that was fun.
Yes.
I like some of the character stuff. I liked the direction. I think the direction that they're going in with Rayner is very interesting and very discovery, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a bit later. But yeah, like a solid continuation of the season opener.
Yeah, I think that's, you very much get the feel that maybe they intended these from the get-go to be aired together, if that follows. Um, because it certainly does jump right into the next. I really love the let's get chased around the woods by the uh, the equivalent of the drones from Arsenal of Freedom. Or yeah, Arsenal of Freedom. I keep calling it Arsenal of Democracy by accident because that's what Michigan was called during World War II, and I was just teaching that the other day. So it is Arsenal of Freedom, not Arsenal of Democracy. Um, but I was really enjoying the jokes that I saw going around about how, well, just tell them that you're going to buy it and then I'll stop. But I like the
I loved Arsenal of
overall.
Freedom.
Oh yeah, it's a good episode.
Mm.
Um, I did like where they're taking Raynor. That clash of personalities is going to be really interesting. Um, and the Taru storyline continues, so that's always good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I love a good treasure hunt. I definitely got some Indiana Jones vibes here. They're digging in the wrong
Oh yeah.
place, etc. Uh, yeah, this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I loved the Michael Saru stuff. I like how they're reflecting on how their relationship has evolved. And yeah, I think it's a fantastic episode of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Sure.
Once again, I am still super excited about season 2. Season 5. Uh, I do like season 2 as well. Let's
Yeah.
keep this ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So first off, Raynor is on trial for, or an inquiry, I should say, for
Yeah.
his actions last week, or not last week, but and as I said, it wasn't his fault. The avalanche wasn't his fault. And if he had been a little bit less of a dick in the inquiry, I think he could have gotten out of there without losing his ship.
Mm-hmm. You're not helping yourself here. She even tells him as much. And she knows.
She sure knows.
She knows.
Yeah, this is really interesting sort of storyline that they're setting up that I hope they explore as fully as I want them to around, like like the Federation is in this period of rebuilding and has sort of like put itself largely back together following the burn, but you have all of these Starfleet officers and Starfleet captains who really have experience with a very different type of galaxy, one in which they're very much on their own because the galaxy was much less connected and much more remote, and there was just much less, sort of ability to, like, if you're captain of a ship, a Starfleet vessel during the burn, you're using, a very limited amount of dilithium to get around, and there's no backup and no support, and also kind of means like not a ton of oversight as well. And it's really interesting that they're exploring in Raynor, and Callum Keith Rennie is really, really good in this role.
Yes, he is.
Exploring that sort of idea and concept, and like, what does it mean for somebody who's used to being in a much more frontier environment now, having to deal with bureaucracy again. There is sort of a, like, you can already see the direction that Discovery is taking this character, which is, I've always said Discovery is the Star Trek show that has the clearest sense of its own identity and the message that it's trying to communicate. And that message is around the importance of being in touch with your feelings and the importance of talking it out and the importance of like, working together and sort of working together, not as a hierarchy, but working together, like, just working together as equals. And I think, it's like, oh, well, we're introducing Rayner to then set him up to, like, well, he's not the Discovery Way, but I'm sure by the end of the season he will have a deep appreciation for the Discovery Way. So, but I don't mind that arc. I think that's interesting. And as I say, Callum Keith Rennie is playing a great character.
I love a good Grouch, and
yeah.
he's an excellent Grouch. And yeah, I think we'll definitely see some fun stuff out of Rayner.
Yeah. I think this is talking about frontiers, and all I was thinking of was cowboy diplomacy, right?
Yeah,
that
sure.
lack of oversight is something that is brought up shifting from, original series era to next gen era and that kind of thing. And I think there's shades of undiscovered country here with Rayner. How do you function in an era of peace? So
yeah, that's a very good, it's sort of a undiscovered country sort of thing,
which makes sense. End of a series.
I want to see the prequel about Vance and Rayner, the early years.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, what were they doing? That was probably a really interesting chain of command, and I'm guessing Rayner was like maybe his CO or something.
Yeah, maybe. That would have been interesting.
Probably tried to get him to go into an admiralty, and he wouldn't get out of the chair because he knew what Kirk said.
All right, so we're going off to the planet Lyric because it's under the twin moons, and this is where the next step in the puzzle is. I love that it's a Permelian burial ground. Deep cut reference all the way back to Booby Trap from TNG season 3.
Yep.
Just yeah, it's just it was, good lord, didn't anyone here build ships in bottles? Yeah, love it. And this is the sort of thing Discovery has done a lot, where they will reference something from a previous episode, and I love it. I love it when Star Trek does that in general, because it helps us establish that this is one big shared universe.
Yes. It's great world building. The references to the Breen and the Tholians, which is like, aha, like, oh, you do remember that you live in a Star Trek universe. The pathway drive that we were talking about in the last episode, right? Like, you take some of these pieces and you start to sort of thread them together, and while it's not as fully fleshed out as we might want it to be, you are starting to get more of a sense of, okay, here is how the Star Trek sort of universe has evolved in the 800 years since the 24th century, and here's the current state of play, and here's how things are really working. And that was something I was really missing in season 4 of Discovery. I didn't think they did nearly enough of that, largely because they were focused on a race that was new and, like, not even in the galaxy, right? So that sort of like fell away, but I'm very pleased that they're doing it, because it just sort of like, it just helps Discovery feel like it lives comfortably within this overall tapestry and milieu of Star Trek. And like, I like the shared universe stuff. It really helps me ground what I'm watching and know how to relate to it and how to experience it. And so I'm pleased to see they're doing a bit more of it this season than they had in season 4.
Yeah, agreed. We get some of that in season 4. I was thinking specifically if we go to All In, they had a lot of references to various stuff from Star Trek in All In. We had the Changeling, and if you act like an Armis, you get kicked out of the game and all that. But yes, this one definitely feels more Star Trek-y, for lack of a better word. So the planet is the area they want to go is has an electromagnetic field blocking them from transporting in, and we find out that field is hiding the evil eyeball rockets.
Yes.
Love a good eyeball rocket.
Yeah.
I want to know where they keep coming from. Like, once the eyeballs rocket comes out, where does the next eyeball rockets come from?
The mini replicator that's built into the eye.
Oh, I was just thinking it was like a series of them. What's the word I'm looking for?
The Permelians were talking to Rom.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know, they are very big statues, so yeah, it's probably just like, you know, a little magazine of them.
Magazine,
Yeah,
that's
fair.
the word I was looking for. Yes.
But there's got to be some way for them to replenish them, because...
How did Mao and Locke get in and out?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, they've got those
very good at what they do.
They've got the cloak suits, right? That they use on the Romulan ship.
So you think that could have hidden them from the eyeball rockets?
Maybe.
Possible.
I don't know what initiated the eyeball rockets. It was just their presence, right?
Right. Yeah, it was them being there.
Okay, so if their cloak suits make it so that machinery doesn't know they're there, I guess.
But you'd think our heroes could use cloak suits too. Then, I mean, we know Discovery has a cloak.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. Treaty of Algernon, you know.
Well,
you can only use it in certain places. I know.
Yeah, but...
I know, not in effect.
But the Discovery used the cloak, so that was...
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just being ridiculous.
Also, you know, the nation that they made that treaty with doesn't really exist as its own entity anymore.
No, kind of blew up.
Yeah, so we need to figure out how to stop the eyeball rockets. So they call up to the ship, and they're trying to figure it out. And apparently Raynor's just been listening in
Raynor's
this whole
eavesdropping.
time.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't know how I feel about that.
Like, I don't like the idea that that's even possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know that he doesn't have a problem with doing things a little bit sideways. So he's probably keeping track just because he wants to know about Maul and Locke. And again, we're back to he's got some kind of private grudge against them that we don't know about.
Yeah, I hope we find out what the deal is there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he basically gives them the idea to brainstorm and figure out that the electromagnetic field is what's causing this, and they need to stop the field. So,
and I liked that because it was the whole don't think like the modern,
Yeah.
So that made sense.
And I do like getting to see Action Saru in action, as it were.
I love that.
I always love when Saru's little face darts do their thing. That's always fun.
Yeah, the Action Saru thing was a funny joke.
Yeah, I thought there was an interesting little bit there about how Burnham misunderstood where it came from.
Yes.
And again, you know, we have the continuing issue of how is she dealing with Book and how is Book dealing with her.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody watching and going, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it does make sense that Reno gave him that name because it sounds like the thing Reno would say.
Absolutely. So, hey, Action Saru, you want a piece of licorice? That's Reno right there.
Also, the Kelpian face darts are powerful because he just blows up all of those eyeballs.
Yeah. Kelpian's a badass, man.
Mm-hmm. They have really good aim, maybe. He was able to get into a crevice or something.
Yeah, I wonder how, I'm just trying to imagine how that, works in your mind. How, as a Kelpian, how does it, are you able to, aim them? Are they more, sort of automatic? Do you have to think about which dart goes to which target?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, evolutionary biologists, come talk to us about this. I feel like it almost could have a heat-seeking thing. But I don't know how you would do that in nature. So.
We should have gotten Mohammed Noor on this show.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, he would have been more useful than me in this situation.
But yeah, so Saru distracts the eyeballs in time for Michael to blow up the insides of the statue, and they go and find the carvings that Malinlock destroyed, but they left
Saru's
behind
magic
the
eyes.
bacteria that Saru's magic eyes can read.
Did you guys? I was dead sure for about a minute that we were going to lose Saru in this episode.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing about like
his last
Trina...
mission, this is he's just like that's the standard, 1 day before retirement trope,
And I'm very, very glad that we did not, of course.
Yes.
But I was ready to get mad about that.
Yeah, it's convenient that this meant that they had all that dialogue around one last adventure, etc., so that they could then populate all of the trailers with that, so people, because obviously it meant it in the meta sense of the show, but in the micro sense about Saru being on Discovery.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was part of the reshoots. I would like to know, once we get all done with this, if they threw little bits in throughout the season, or if they just did all stuff for the end.
As far as I know, it was just all stuff for the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think they had already completely finished.
Correct, and then they went back.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I know that any scene that has Wilson Cruz in it was definitely not part of the reshoots, because he wasn't involved in the reshoots.
Okay. Good to know.
He was working on some other project and wasn't able to go.
Okay.
But yeah, we find out that there was the secret Romulan poem, and
Navarian.
they should have more lines than what we see. And this is cool. This is a reference back to Picard, where we find out that Romulans usually have the real entrance to Romulan buildings is usually hidden in behind, which was a thing that they talked about in Picard. And
did they even talk about it on the show, or was that just in the Michael Chabon thing that he wrote?
Might have just been in one of those Michael Chabon things.
Yeah, which is great because because it's not canon in the Michael Chabon thing, but it is now.
Yeah.
I feel like that was in one of the novels. Could I tell you which one? No, and it might have been one of the Picard
was in The
ones.
Last Best Hope, yes.
Where Spock is being like Romulan Jesus, and he's got a house, and he's talking on the front porch with people, and gets everybody to go out their front doors instead of the back doors.
That I don't remember, but I think it was referenced in the first Picard novel.
Okay.
I do not remember the Romulan Jesus episode or book.
Well, I am coming up with all sorts of stuff that now I'm wondering if it was real. Okay.
I have not read even close to all of the Star Trek books, so don't.
But this was a recent one. Okay. That's all right.
I also have not read all of the recent ones.
That's true.
But there have been so few.
No, I still haven't read. What was the Unu McCormick one from last year? Or was it 2 years ago?
2 years ago. Because last year it was only John Jackson Miller's Strange New Worlds novel.
Anyway, I still haven't read it.
The Picard novel with Garrick in it.
Yeah, I haven't read that one yet.
Yes, okay, that one, yeah.
And I haven't read the David Mack one that just came out yet either.
I have not read that one yet either.
And I actually, we talked about this in an earlier episode, but I actually never finished The Last Best Hope. I need to go back and start over and watch and read it from the beginning. So no, I have not read even all of the recent ones. I am a terrible Star Trek fan.
Terrible, terrible.
Yep. How dare you?
Anyway, so yeah, we move the statue, find the secret underneath, and we learn that we're actually going to Trill, not Beta Z. And
Mm-hmm.
it sure is convenient that both of these were. I find it interesting that the clue to get to this planet was some esoteric thing that we didn't know that they made up, and then the both the red herring and the real place for the other ones were ones that we would absolutely know just from hearing the poem. I found that interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. It was a little nice little misdirect.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll probably be going to Trill next week. I would imagine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Book talks to Malhan Locke.
Oh yeah.
I will say the one thing that is already getting on my nerves is the amount of time in an episode they say Mole and Locke, Mole and
Oh
Locke.
my
I
God.
know.
Yes.
Oh
Mole
my
and Locke,
God.
Mole and Locke.
I
Mole and
absolutely
Locke.
agree.
Like, we're 2 episodes in, and I'm like, can we come up with a little shorthand for that? Something.
Locke.
Yeah.
Lol.
Malak. Lol.
Mock and lol. Mock.
Mock.
Lol.
Or just find other ways of talking about them without
The targets.
just
Yeah.
using their names in that exact order constantly. Small criticism, but
Mhm. No, I'm with you on that.
I'm with you. But yeah, Book manages to reach out to Malhan Locke using the secret courier darknet.
It's the dark web.
discovers the connection to Cleveland Booker, the previous.
The third, presumably, since he's the fourth.
Yes. I
He's
was
the
trying to
fourth,
remember
okay.
if he was the fourth.
I
or the
put
fifth.
the wrong number on there, but
Or maybe. Well, now I could be wrong. I'm wondering if he's the fifth and the other guy was the fourth. Hold on. I can find this. Yeah, no, he was the fourth. The mentor was the fourth, and
Okay.
Book is the fifth.
Okay.
Either way, it's the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, so this is the mystery box for the season.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
You know, which is fine because it's a much lower stakes mystery box than like who created and caused the DMA. So I'm fine with them, sort of teasing out those identities over the remainder of the season rather than, doing it all now. But yeah, like intriguing, interesting. We'll see where it goes. It's certainly like, it continues to provide a justification for Book to be on the show, which is no bad thing.
Yes.
Which in turn continues to provide a justification for Grudge to be on the show, which is the
Correct,
most important
which is
part.
an even
Yes.
better thing.
I did appreciate the holographic toy.
But Burnham had to know that Grudge wouldn't like that, because we established in last season that Grudge doesn't like hollows.
Well, because she doesn't like holographic people because she can't smell them. That doesn't mean that she's not going to go after a laser light, which is basically what that is.
Yeah.
And she does say it was for Book and not
That's true.
Grudge anyway. There is an ad for so the Detroit Tigers, the mascot is Paws, who's a tiger. And there's an ad for the local grocery store that sponsors it, Myers. Okay. Local in the regional. And they've been playing it in all the games. It's Paws goes to the checkout with a cat tree, which is way too small for him. And then as the cashier is ringing stuff up, the laser gun happens to hit the floor, and Paws just starts chasing it around.
Aw.
It's a grocery store. It's really cute. It has nothing to do with anything, but Well, maybe they'll start saying Locke and Malene, since that's actually her name.
Yeah.
As far as we know. They won't. I know they won't. But
One thing that I thought was neat, when Saru gets injured, it's his shoulder, and the light on his encounter suit starts blinking on and off like it's been damaged as well. And I thought that was
I didn't
neat.
notice that.
Cool touch.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I did not watch closely enough, apparently. I did like the whole I know a doctor.
That was good.
Yes, that was cute. That was really cute. I love how we get that moment of Vance is having to learn, I guess not elementary math, but some kind of geometry because he says he can't figure out to help his daughter with her homework
right.
unless he knows it.
Uh-huh. A relatable situation for fathers everywhere.
Yeah.
I assume.
Yes,
Yeah,
so do I. Yeah.
As
Well,
all
I
of
can
us on
speak
this
to that
podcast
with-
assume.
I can speak to that with nieces and nephews that I have been asked to look at homework, and I go, I don't know. That's not what they
Yeah,
taught me to
right.
do. Yes. So Saru's quarters are being left as they are for funsies. Yeah.
I mean, they were the last time too.
Yeah, but I mean, it was expected he was going to come back. I don't know that he's expected to come back this time. But maybe it's just going to be like an arboretum.
I assume that 32nd century starships need many fewer crew than 23rd century starships do, and so Discovery just has a lot of, like, not unnecessary space, but it has a lot of crew quarters that it doesn't necessarily need, so, like, it gives them the luxury as, like, as a tribute to him to leave his quarters the way that they are.
Plus, they have all that extra space in the middle where all the turbolifts move around.
Yeah, the roller coaster turbo lifts
Yeah.
and the, like, giant cavern that at the end of season 3 you saw. You know, it's a real TARDIS in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they don't need those anymore because they just transport everywhere. So
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they just get rid of all the hallways.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think we've covered pretty much everything from Under the Twin Moons. So let's talk about that little sneak peek trailer we get at the end of Red Directive.
Definitely.
Do you think we are getting a Strange New Worlds Discovery crossover this season?
It is entirely possible.
It does rest very well within the realm of possibility, doesn't it?
And based on what we're seeing, so we definitely see the Strange New Worlds sickbay set.
Yes. So we see a Constitution class ship, we see the Strange New Worlds sickbay set, and we see a Terran Empire logo in one of the previous trailers.
It's not just a Constitution class ship. The people over at things.
Someone figured out it was it is the Enterprise.
The people over at Trek Culture. I'm like,
yes.
Which Trek whatever is this?
Yeah.
Yeah. The people over at Trek Culture zoomed in and enhanced, and it does say 1701 on the saucer.
Yeah. So highly likely it is the mirror USS Enterprise.
ISS Enterprise, yes.
Yes.
Okay, I did not.
But is it going to be like a USS Defiant situation where it's just the ship and it's not the crew, or are we going to see mirror Captain Pike?
Oh my god, I want that so bad.
That would be interesting.
I want evil Captain Pike.
Yeah, I mean, don't get your hopes up because like that feels improbable, but
it's also
you might as well take, like, you have this golden opportunity to do some degree of crossover.
If that were to happen,
Discovery and Strange New
that
Worlds.
would absolutely be something that we wouldn't know for sure. They would absolutely be keeping that under wraps.
They should, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. That's the kind of thing that you shouldn't show your cards to, and like. So we've seen the first 4 episodes. Mm-hmm. It's not a spoiler to say most of the footage. Well, it's certainly not a spoiler to say because what I'm about to say is most of the footage from the trailers is from the first 2 episodes.
Yes.
With a little bit from 3,
from the third,
a little bit from 3, and then there's this Enterprise stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like we really who knows what's coming.
Yeah. So no, I think we're definitely going. The fact that it is it's the Enterprise, the ISS Enterprise, because we got the mirror. Yes, I think.
But here's the other thing too, right? Like, okay, so that's cool from a Discovery Strange New Worlds crossover perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But from a Discovery perspective, what's much cooler and more like, okay, having Pike come back in some way does this too. But like there's 2 options. There are 2 ways that the mirror universe plays into Discovery that would be interesting to see. One, of course, would be the direction we're going in, which is seeing the Enterprise the other is, well, we know of a that there was a Starfleet captain who crossed over into the Mirror Universe during this period of time, who got replaced by his mirror counterpart.
Yes, we
Mhm.
do.
In Star Trek Discovery
Yes,
Season
we
1.
do.
And so, like, this could also be a way of getting Jason Isaacs and Gabriel Lorca back on the show and resolving the Prime Lorca
So
thing.
cool.
Potentially. I think that's highly unlikely.
Alternatively, what could really be happening is we're not getting a crossover at all, and it's just the ISS Enterprise got trapped in some
It's the
celestial
Defiant
body for the last 900
Right,
years.
it's the Defiant, yeah.
So, okay, so I had not looked at this as closely, so as you guys have been talking, that's why I've been quiet. Did they saw that it was ISS, or did they just see the 1701?
They just saw the
Whoever zoomed in.
1701. We don't know,
Okay.
so we don't know that ship seen in that shot is the ISS Enterprise. But we're
Right.
making that assumption based on the fact that the sickbay set that we see has the Terran Empire logo on it.
Okay. Wow, I feel like I did not sufficiently pay attention to any of this.
Honestly,
Bad podcaster. No.
I didn't notice the Terran Empire logo when watching it either. I've seen other people on the internet who are even more detail obsessed than I am have looked at this and taken it apart frame by frame and figured this all out.
All right.
So, lots of interesting possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I'm excited for Star Trek, and that's the, state that I like to be in, so we're good.
Yeah, works for me all around.
if we have some time travel shenanigans, if it's not the ISS but the USS, then just all the more likely we're going to see Jonathan Frakes.
That's true.
Also possible.
I'm really holding out on that one. I'm holding out hope. Anyway.
Man, what if we get Mirror Pike and Prime Lorca in the same episode?
That would be quite
Ooh.
something. And in the process, if it's got Burnham, Saru, Pike, and Lorca in the same episode, it is an episode that has all 4 of Discovery's captains.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa! Yeah.
I love it. Love it.
Which is too final season-y
Yeah.
for a season that wasn't designed to be the final season.
That's the scene they went back and shot.
Yeah,
It
right.
might be. Oh, well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way, we're gonna get awesome Star Trek this
Yep.
season. I am super excited. And I'm more excited than I was with the beginning of season 3 and season 4.
Yeah.
I am on board for this season, and I can't wait to see more.
This was a good way to
Agreed.
get going.
Agreed. Right. Well, Alex, thank you so much for joining us for the discussion today. Where can listeners find you online, and what work would you like to plug?
I'm on Twitter at Alexander C. Perry, and my Star Trek and Trek Course Star Trek News podcast, Weekly Trek, is at Weekly Trek.
All right. Thad, where can people find you when you're not thinking up a new drink to celebrate a Trek anniversary that uses Jumja sticks?
Well, what does a Jumja stick taste like, though, is the important question. Other than knowing that it's a natural sweetness from the sap of the Jumja tree, we don't really know much about it.
That's true.
Sap of the Jumja tree.
Yes. Anyway, so best place to find me is probably still on Twitter. I am at Tyrannicus, TYRANICUS. I am also in varying degrees of activity on many other socials with the same name. You can also hear me on the podcast I do with my friend Carl, Licensed to Spiel, Licensed to See like the British do it, where we started out talking about James Bond and are now talking about other movies that we watch. Anyway, Chrissy, where can people find you when you are not tracking down an ancient archaeological artifact?
When I'm not tracking down an ancient archaeological artifact.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Ooh, yeah.
Which I feel like is something you might do.
Yeah, I might do that. Am I doing this with a young Harrison Ford as well? Because that would be very important.
No, it's with an old Harrison Ford.
That's still okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's still probably fine.
Yeah. In addition to here on Infinite Diversity, of course, you can find me on History with Szilagyi here on the BQN. That will be back from its hiatus once the semester is over. It has been a semester. And that is that twice weekly short history podcast I do with my fellow historian partner, Jason. I'm also happy to chat about our shows on the BQN Collective on Facebook and in the aforementioned Discord. And I'm on Twitter and Blue Sky and other places at The Goddess Livia. That's TheGoddessLivia, where you can see my opinions about Star Trek history and leftist politics.
Don't forget all our other great shows on BQN. And here's a recording of Chrissy from the past to tell you all about them.
What else can you listen to on the BQN? Replicate yourself a mug of hot chocolate and join Amy, Mark, Christos, and Kelvin as they discuss everything and anything in the Star Trek universe on All Good Things. Boost yourself with an energy drink and join Davey on YouTube and Twitch for reviews and live streams of classic, cheap, and sometimes more recent video games on Bargain Bin Gamer. Brew yourself a pot of coffee and join Jeremiah to discuss Star Trek Voyager on The Captain's Couch. Mix your favorite cocktail and join Mark and Matt at Cinema Z to discuss the films you probably missed but should definitely check out. Pour a cup of tea, Earl Grey, hot, and listen to Stephen and Keith as they discuss the next generation of Trek on Galaxy Class. Get yourself something caffeinated and learn an interesting bit of history with Chrissy and Jason on History with the Szilagyi. Have a bowl of Flomeek soup and join Thad and Chrissy and a guest to discuss new episodes of Star Trek as they are released on Infinite Diversity. Have something to sharpen your mind and put your Trek knowledge to the test with the Treksperts quiz. Take a bite out of something that didn't seem edible and join Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley covering all things in New Trek, including that show that is Trek in all but name, The Orville, on Union Federation. Get your Sunday brunch ready for The View Screen, a live weekly talk show hosted by Kelvin and Amy with featured guests talking about all things Trek. Pour a glass of wine and spill some tea with Christos while he discusses current Trek news and events and explores the world of fandom via guest interviews, all with an LGBTQIA+ perspective on What's the Tea, Bev? And Patreon members get to pass around that green bottle of Aldebaran whiskey once a month on the round table, and they can listen to It's Green with Mark White and Amy's Math Moments. Thank you for tuning into Infinite Diversity. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music and Mark White for the awesome show art. Please subscribe in your favorite podcast player and don't forget to rate and review us there as well. It's Twitter.
If you want to reach out, you can find the network on Twitter and Blue Sky at BQN Podcast, or our show specifically at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the BQN podcasts in our Facebook group, the BQN Collective. When you next hear from us, we'll be talking about episode 3 of Discovery Season 5, Janal. Until then, peace and long life.